Welcome to the call.
All right, I'm going to
Thank
record
you.
this call and just kick it off because I know that there's quite a few people that are going to be wanting to listen to the recording. I know the time is different for everyone. So just kind of give us a quick gist of who we are and how we got here. I'm Kaitlyn.vanderschaaf, if you don't know me, and I lead a team of coaches, and chances are you either know me or one of my coaches or my friend here, Jessy Ralston, who's going to be sharing later. And gosh, we both started our journeys around the same time, 7, 8 years ago. And it's just something very early on. We just clicked. We have a lot in common. And over again, in all of these years, I have looked to Jessy as just an inspiration of what is possible when you set your mind to something. And not only that, but just like how to surrender to him and in all that you do, and just like keeping focus as to why you're taking care of yourself. Because in the depths of motherhood and all the different ways it can change throughout the years, it's really easy to lose sight of that, of just how important it is that we take care of ourselves. And she, over and over again, like comes to mind. And I wanted, as we go into the new year, all of you just to hear directly from her, like her why and everything. Because yeah, it inspires me all the time. Every time I see her stories, it's like, oh, Jessy did it. I can do it. And so I know she's all like, can't imagine her being inspired. I'm like, how do you not? Like, how do you not understand how inspiring you are? Um, so, anyways, as I always do, I'm going to pray really quickly over us. Then we'll get started on the sample, and then we'll hear from her. So, pray with me, please. Dear God, I pray over this time together that you brought us all here. Only you know what is in our hearts and our minds. I pray that you help quiet our minds and fill our cups in a way that you only know that we need. I thank you for giving us each other, just to fill our lives with joy, make us not feel alone. It's just such a gift. And I thank you especially today for Jessy and for leading us to that same team, knowing we would be able to support each other. And I thank you and praise you for the way that I've seen you move in Jessy's life. I know it's been a testament to me and so many people that watch her, and how it's just impacted and improved my faith life, and I know others as well. I thank you for the gift and the strength that you've given to Jessy, to share her raw and real in a way that is just so encouraging and helpful to other people. I pray you bless her, and that you calm any nerves that she may have this morning, and just speak through her. Bless this time, and with your grace, love, and conviction, help us do whatever it is you have us. Amen. All right, now I will share the screen. I've gotten better in my many times of doing this to not, now I'm gonna jinx myself. All right, share sound. We are going to be doing the sample workout. It is longer than, most of our programs, both in number of weeks and just the workouts. If you're looking for it to do it again, because I've already gotten a lot of messages from people being like, oh my gosh, I love that so much, I'm going to do it again. You can find it if you have BOD access under the programs tab and then featured programs. And if you don't have BOD, I don't know if it's unlocked for people who don't have a paid BODi account, but if you want to, you can always message one of us who are BODi partners, and we can give you like a Vimeo or a YouTube link too, to either do it for the first time or do it again. And just for, oh my gosh, I will talk more about it after, just a little bit, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I think we'll all be excited just by watching it. Now I have to stop the recording or I'm going to get in trouble on YouTube. All right. And I just want to say quickly about the bench. I will, and weights and all the things. I know, especially if you're starting your journey, it can be like, oh, I can't do that program because I don't have room for a bench, or I don't have the money for a bench, or I don't want a bench. And or you don't have weights and all the things. And I will say that, I mean, obviously, ideally, you have all the things. When I went through Lift More, one of our other programs, that had a lot of bench work too, a lot. And to be honest, I just kind of modified, because I was at that same place. I had little kids. I just didn't my workout spaces where they played. I just didn't want it. So it's possible, it's doable. You can have a chair, you can use the floor, you can sit, I mean, you really can't. Is it going to be perfect? No. You're going to have to be willing to do your best and know that if you're starting your journey, doing your best is already huge progress, right? So don't cross, if you really like lifting weights and you really want to do it at home, but for some reason you don't want to get a bench, don't cross it off. Like I said, if there's a will, there's a way. I will say you want weights. You want lots of weights, because that you can't really adjust for that. Okay, and just for a little background on this, if you're thinking about it, it is 12 weeks, which honestly, when I think about our biggest launches of test groups, they were long programs too, like 80-day obsession and 9-week control freak. Like some of our biggest, most successful like programs that people still rave about, got the best results. They were the longest. And honestly, that makes me really excited because I think the people who really commit to this are going to, first off, they'll have the test group experience, which is like doing the same program day by day with other people that are doing it. It's the best accountability. It's the best, like you don't feel alone. You want to keep going to keep up with the group. You get tips and tricks related specifically to the workouts that you're doing each day. And really after 12 weeks, like you have embedded so much of that consistency, like to the point where after 12 weeks, it's going to feel weird not to do it. Where if you're just doing a 3-week test group, after that 3 weeks, I mean, you could go either way. It could be just as easy not to do it as to do it, right? But after 12 weeks, like, and I hope after this sample, you see that after 12 weeks of this, holy cow, like I consider myself, I mean, pretty muscular, but I was feeling it on all new places. And I loved the fact that the trainer was really like helping us focus on our form and taking that time that we're like really going to get everything out of every minute of the movement. So anyways, technically it releases for purchase mid-December. I think it's December 22. Is that right? I didn't write down. Sometime in the middle of December. And I would say if you're thinking about it for the New Year's, December 19th, thank you. If you're thinking about starting it, a lot of us are going to probably like dabble with it in late December once we get access, and then really start together day one after the New Year's. So definitely reach out to whoever invited you to this call as to like when they're officially starting their test group. But I wouldn't wait until New Year's to order because you're going to want, the papers, the products, whatever comes with that test group material to have the best start, right? All right, so now I will stop rambling about dig deeper and how much. Okay, last thing. There's always a last thing. Shaun T. Oh my gosh, if you don't love him, I don't know if we can be friends. No, but seriously, his mindset work, like he is a phenom in helping you really work out in a place of self-love, in a place of self-improvement, in a place of strengthening yourself, not trying to like fit yourself into your high school jeans, but really like embracing the new you and feeling good doing it. And I'm telling you, if you come to a workout and you feel good and granted, it's going to hurt it's going to be uncomfortable, but you'll be so proud of yourself and you'll love the new version of you that you'll want to keep going and you'll want to keep making yourself proud and feel good and all the things. So his mindset work. Okay. Now I will stop. Jessy, are you unmuted? Can you unmute yourself? I don't know if you can. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to throw it over to Jessy. And I want her to just share whatever is on her heart because I know it's going to be inspiring and exactly what people need to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great workout. And I really appreciated how he said, like, this is the muscle that you're supposed to feel this, because too often if I'm distracted by kids, it's easy to do a move and then be sore in a place that maybe wasn't the right place. So I loved how he explained the form and everything like that. I feel like that's so important. And the older he gets, the more I like him because I feel like he's gotten away. Of course, he's still so proud of his muscles, but he's gotten a little bit away from just like the aesthetics and more into the lifestyle as he's become a dad and all that. So I relate to him more and more with every program. So I'm excited for that one. Okay, so I was asked to speak on this call by Kaitlyn, and she does these every month. And this is so awesome. This is such an awesome ministry that she has where different people can just share their testimony because it's people's stories that inspire us to do things, to take action. And so my story, just like any other story, might inspire someone who resonates with those pain points that I had when I started. And it is almost exactly 8 years to the day. I think my first boot camp was on December 4th or December 5th because it was 21 days and we got it done before, I think the last day might have been Christmas Eve or something like that, the year that I started. So it's very emotional time of year for me when I kind of remember all of those changes. And I feel like it's such a blessing because it reminds me to be healthy over the holidays every year because it's my anniversary of joining Beachbody. So 8 years ago, a little background of like where I was at was I had 5 kids that were 6 and under. So they were 6, 4, 2 2-year olds, and like a newborn. And I had just quit working for the first time. So I'd always worked outside the home in a really positive space. Like it was the perfect amount of time away from home. It gave me the perfect break. I wasn't career obsessed at that point in my life, but I had this awesome outlet of working outside the home. But we kind of just reached a point where we needed a full-time at-home parent. And the logical choice was me since I wasn't the primary breadwinner at that moment in time. So I stopped working. I became a full-time stay-at-home mom and also at the same time a homeschooling mom due to some like special needs of my oldest daughter who would have been in public school at the time. So it was just sort of a massive lifestyle shift on top of being postpartum. Like it all had accumulated to a point where, you just sit there and go, where did the last 6 years go? And what the heck am I doing? I don't even know who I am. I don't have any direction. I was great at that point at toddler mom behavior kind of action, but I didn't really know like where to go in the homeschool space, what my goals were for the family, because I'd always had this business that kind of had taken over my goals mindset. I didn't know how to now apply that to my family, to my homeschool, to my kids, to being a wife, to being a mother. And so I really just floundered for a couple months. And when I flounder, you stay up late and you watch sitcoms and you eat food. And so at the same time as like I'm emotionally and mentally kind of spiraling, then my health starts to go downhill as well. And then it becomes just like a chicken or the egg problem from there. So back in these days, social media was not what it is today. And this weird person on Instagram kept sharing their transformation and sharing this business and sharing how their life has been changed. And that was bizarro at the time. That's not something that was commonly seen on social media. And so it just was kind of like this nagging thing of you should just ask, just put your email in the comments, just see what it's all about. And it was a 3 a.m. nursing session. I typed my email in the comments and hesitated only very slightly because it was at that point just desperation. Like, I don't have anything to lose. We're already struggling in every other way. If this can be something that turns things around, like this could be my moment. So I signed up and I decided to join for the business and for the fitness element because, like I said, I just quit this job. So I really felt like I needed an outlet. So financially, yes, I thought it would be great if I could help support the family, but it was also like I really wanted an outlet to kind of pour my ambition into and to not be so high strung with my kids, but have something outside of that that I could really be ambitious and set goals. And it just seemed like the perfect fit. So I started on the first week of December and it's been 8 years and I've never looked back. It was like the catalyst for me of making positive changes in my life. So I think at its core, and I think about the last 8 years, and I think Kaitlyn shared a little bit, 2 miscarriages after pretty soon after I joined, actually, followed by 3 more babies, moving my family, continuing to homeschool, going through the pandemic, all of the life things that we've gone through. I was really trying to think like, what is it about this business and fitness platform that's been really valuable for me? And I feel like it can really all come back to 2 things. One is priorities, and the other one is consistency. I feel like when I've been in those tough positions, because I absolutely have been back at that low over the last 8 years that I was when I started. no doubt. I would like to say I never hit that low again because this process is so amazing and I've always been so amazingly healthy. But that would be a total lie. I have hit that low after my miscarriages. I've hit that low almost after every postpartum season. I've hit that low when I'm having marriage struggles. We've hit that low when we're moving or having financial struggles. Like it's hard. You can't be up all the time. But what I kept coming back to over those years was kind of the first thought that actually made me sign up, which was my priorities. And it has always been a priority in my heart that I am a healthy person, that I'm someone that cares about my body, that I'm someone that exemplifies that for my kids, and that I'm a strong woman, that I'm a strong mama. And when I look at my days, if I don't see that in my day, then I feel like I'm a big fat liar. Like if I'm in a state like this is a priority and I want my kids to take this away from me, when they move on with their life, then I need to show up and I need to do something. And so it doesn't matter. There's, my whole postpartum with Josephine, our seventh baby, for probably 3 months, I did 10-minute stretches every day. And my kids saw me do that every night before bed, turn on my streaming and do a 10-minute stretch because that's all I could do. But that was enough. That made me content in saying, like, this is my priority. I'm going to blend my shake. I'm going to do my 10-minute stretch. And they're seeing this every single day. And I know if I just keep that consistency, that when I'm ready, then I'll be able to level it up. It's just never giving up. It's just bringing the best that you have every single day for the last 8 years. Like I can truly and honestly say that I have brought my best every single day for the last 8 years. And that doesn't always look the same. Sometimes it's a 50-minute intense strength training, bike ride, run, all the things. And I'm perfectly in shape and I'm toned and cut and feeling amazing. And other times I feel like a couch potato. I'm flabby, I'm stretched out, I'm exhausted. And I'm doing a 10-minute stretch where, like, if I look at a video, like you think you did a good job, and then you look at your video that you took of yourself, like I need to speed this up times 5 so that it looks like I actually did something when I post it on social media. So yeah, it's like, it's been literally the two extremes all 8 years. But this platform has provided a wonderful um, resource for me to continue to challenge myself. And that's the other thing that I love about it is this is like a learning process, motherhood, being a wife, homeschooling, working on your health. It's all growth. It's all development. And so I love that this platform is always bringing new information on health, on nutrition, on gut health, on hormones, on fasting, on fitness training, like all of the things. It's always bringing new information, and it's information that I can trust. So I've used this as my guide for my health journey, which if I'm making progress in one area of my life, then it's so motivating and it builds momentum to make progress in the other areas. It's like, okay, I've got this solution for this area of my life. Now, like, what do I need to do in homeschooling? And it's really what's driven me to like read so many books about homeschooling and read so many books about child development and read so many books about marriage and relationship and read so many books about faith. And like, that's the driver for me is it's like, I'm already on the path with this platform. So I would just say this has given me a way to like live out my priorities in real life. And it's just given me an opportunity to be consistent no matter what that looks like over the years. One of the biggest examples of this was COVID when everything shut down. And it was like we were all spiraling, not being able to go to work, not being able to see family, like trying to figure out what the heck is going on. The media is so scary and crazy. And like, 10 rounds came out. And my husband and I, like, that was like, all right, well, like, we're going to punch it out like every day. And so it's always provided something that's a constant. My kids are sick, my daughter's in the hospital, whatever the situation, like, this is convenient and it's easy and it's always there. It's going to help me get a grip. I feel like that constant challenging has proven to me over and over again how strong I am. And so then that carries over into the other things in my life. So it's just been an incredible gift and I'll always be grateful. I'll always be grateful. The business side of it it really parallels the fitness side of it for me. I think it's helped me be consistent because I have that extra layer of accountability. Um, but at the same time, I think that it has these benefits for me of giving me a creative outlet, giving me an outlet for my ambition, really giving me a reason to build community. Um, And I wouldn't say, it's not like I go around my community like, oh, I better make friends because then they might sign up for Beachbody. But putting yourself out there on social media and sharing vulnerably with people makes them feel comfortable coming up and talking to you, even if they don't know you. So it really has, like, in effect, made it so that I'm more known in the community and I meet people easier. And almost everybody at this point is body. So they're like, oh, I did that one time. It's like a topic of conversation that they can come up and they can talk to you about. So it's really helped me, even with moving and joining different groups and my kids getting older and making friends, in terms of putting myself out there. It doesn't allow me to kind of retreat when I'm having a tough time. It doesn't allow me to kind of just go into my hole and be depressed. It's like, I need to process this and I need to share this. And this is going to become a pain point that maybe people can connect with. So it really has forced me even more in the personal growth, and then had this huge benefit of helping me build community for myself and for my family that otherwise I don't see any way that I would have done that. And even the days that I don't want to share, it's like I could kind of trick myself, like, you're doing it for your business, so just do it anyway. Like, go through the steps and do it anyway, even though you don't feel like it. It's the same with the workout. You don't feel like it, but do it because you know it's good for you and it's going to make you feel better in the long run. So um, I met Kaitlyn 8 years ago, and it's just another example of how the community, and Emily, how the community is such an asset. It's like people across the country that are so passionate about health, about faith, about living their life in alignment with their priorities. And just having that connection point, even if you don't see them every single day, it just makes you feel not alone and it gives you the motivation to keep going. So it's just been such a beautiful and amazing thing. One of the best decisions I ever made. So that's all. I don't want to go too much longer than that. That's my spiel, you guys. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. But I just had to, of course, I have to add something. Thank you. Thank you for waking up early and juggling all your priorities and your kids to do this. Your
It
husband is a
worked
rock
out.
star.
Maybe I'll just start working out in the morning now that you gave me the kick to do it. Or
There you
maybe I'm
go.
just gonna crash and burn at 1 o'clock. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. What I also heard in your story was just, and I know it in myself too, is like these programs and the business have really helped us in our mindset more than anything else. Like it's caused us to be more solution oriented and more like believing in ourselves. Like we can figure this out. Like with you with reading homeschool books. Like it was this like we've all had these things in our lives where it's like our prior version of ourselves wouldn't have even tried, would have just felt like a victim, would have stayed stuck. And it's just like I do think that yeah, obviously Shanti and a lot of the trainers do that. But I do think it's the level of like committing to having a business and having people depending on you that helps you not back down on not only other people but yourself, right? Like it gives you the extra accountability to be like, as you said, like I think all of our natural instincts when life gets tough is to just crawl in a hole and give up and play a victim. Not that it's not hard, but again, these programs and having sharing on social media. I never shared on social media before becoming a coach. I was that person who like maybe would post a professional picture of my daughter once a year and that was it. Like I never if I did share it was like snarky comments, like a sentence or two. That was me sharing on social media. So like it's funny because I could talk forever, but well, I probably have more. But one thing I want to mention is like we have brought on Brendan Burchard in mindset to help us. And one thing that he's been talking a lot about is journaling and how journaling is some of the best therapy. I'm not saying you shouldn't get therapy if you need it, but it's some of the best therapy and processing you can do. And I've been saying this for years, far before I knew Brendan had been talking about, but I've been saying for years that sharing on social media has been some of the best therapy I've ever done. It's forced me to like really think about like, why am I feeling these feelings? What can I do about it? Like, let's be solution oriented. How can I spin this to be positive? Like, what kind of goals can I set? What kind of groups can I run to help me get out of my junk? And it's just like, just it's journaling. Like, it's sharing your life in a way that helps you process it and come out better for it versus not, right? Versus just feeling stuck and alone. And in sharing, you don't feel alone. Like, it's amazing. I'm sure, Jessy, when you shared about your miscarriages, when you shared about your daughter being in the hospital. I had my son in the hospital. Like, it's amazing how people will come out of the woodwork and you'll not feel alone. You'll be alone physically in a hospital room, wanting to fall apart, watching your kids struggle. But in your phone, you have all these people like that make you feel validated and give you tips and whatever that, like, I can't. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'll do that coaching thing when life gets easier, when I feel better, when I feel toned. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, you'll be so grateful that you built those habits and built that community and built and have those people there when you get to the hard stuff to help you out of the hard stuff. Like, I could go on
And
and
I
on.
feel like that's just a testament to, like, that's a perfect example of how sharing. I had no idea the number of people that would pray for her, that would message me, that would lift us up in prayer. I mean, literally hundreds of message. I couldn't reply to them all. Like, the amount of people that brought us food, and all of that stemmed from like me being willing to be vulnerable and like share it on social media. I think that people, there is a community, people do want to help, and people want to connect for real. They want to connect
Mhm.
for real to what people are really going through. And not that many people are willing to put themselves out there and share that. The other thing I was going to say is, you were talking kind of about like the mindset thing. And I heard this somewhere. I think it's so true. Like, the most defeating thing we can say is, well, I'm doing all I can do. And like walking away from it like
Mm.
that. Well, I'm doing all I can do, you know? And I think what Beachbody has challenged us to do is really say, like, are you though? Like,
Mm.
are you really doing all you could do? Is 10 minutes all you can do? Or can you do a fiver on top of that? Like, is eating one serving of vegetables a day really all you can do? Or like, can you also get like a super power green scoop to add to your Shakeout? Like, I feel like it really has challenged me to not sit in that defeating mindset and say, okay, but what else can I do? And then that carries over as well. Like, when I'm really struggling with one of my kids or my husband, I'm doing my part. I'm doing all I can do. Okay, but are you really, or do you need to learn, and do you need to grow, and do you need to get stronger through this? So I feel like I've come away from saying, well, I'm doing all I can do, and somebody else come rescue me, basically, to, hey, bring it all to the table and make sure, because every time I've evaluated and brought more, you can give a little more, you can give 1% more. It makes all the difference in the world. It makes all the difference. It's like the difference between bringing all the loaves and fishes versus bringing
Yes.
I can only spare one or two, right? You have to bring it all if you want it multiplied, period. And so I feel like it has challenged me in that way, to really like see if I can do more. And sometimes more is rest more. It doesn't mean like run yourself into the ground. It just means like, can I work smarter? Can I tweak this? Can I challenge myself a little bit more? And it really has just been a growth mindset all the way around, for sure. 100%.
Right. It's not from guilt or shame. It's from like really trying to help you rise up to who you actually can be. Right. And we don't realize that until we get uncomfortable, until we really look at how we're spending our time. A lot of us waste a lot of time, and we don't like to admit that. But once you do a time inventory, you're like, holy crap, like, and that those things aren't filling my cup, like all those things. And yeah, I think when you start your business and you become part of the coaching community, you're surrounded by people who challenge you in that way, in a good way. Because again, it's people like you, Jessy, who I saw for many years when I had my one kid and I was like working full time, like, I can't do this business. Like, how does she do the stories? And like seeing you be so consistent, even with all the things that you had, made me be like, Kaitlyn, really? Look at how you're spending your time. Look at how you're a perfectionist. You shouldn't and don't need to be doing that. Like, every post doesn't have to be prodigy. Like just do what you can. And it was just like, I do think that a lot of us, when we start, we're surrounded on social media by our friends and family who aren't really any better off than us. And so we're not being challenged, we're not being stretched, we're not realizing that it's possible. It's easy to stay stuck and comfortable because everyone else around us is stuck and comfortable. But when you join this community on the next level, you're quickly surrounded by people that make you dream bigger. They make you believe that you could do more in a good way that makes you feel more alive and more fulfilled and more purposeful. And I know I could go
I
on,
think one of the
but
worst things that we say to ourselves, and I've done this over and over, is like, well, you're the only one that's struggling with that. Like everybody else is fine. Because you hear like overhear little conversations of like people, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, okay, so I'm not the only one that's still having a hard time. I'm not the only one that's struggling with my weight right now. I'm not the only one that's struggling with sleep or with stress or with, whatever other thing you're struggling with. I think the worst thing we can say is like, I'm the only one, so I don't want to put myself out there because then people are going to think I'm crazy because like, girl, get your shit together. Why are you having such a hard time? And occasionally, yeah, you get those comments of people that are kind of, not understanding, but then that post is not for them. It's worth
mm,
posting for the people who are going to feel it. And to not, you're not posting to just complain and vent and sit in your misery, but like, let's challenge each other. Like, this is hard. Like, how do we move from this to the next thing? How do we get through it? I have to say that often, like, well, this post is not for that person. Like, it's okay that they don't understand.
mhm.
This post is not for them. They're not part of my tribe. It's okay. What are we afraid of?
Yes, and I think I love that because I think God has given us all our stories and our backgrounds and our current struggles and our past in a way that if we share about it, it will be helpful to people in ways that you don't even realize. And it'll feel like it gave you purpose. There was a lot of pain in my past that it's helped me release it in a way, first of all, by journaling and sharing, but then knowing that it's being used for good. And again, like not feeling like you're alone in it. Like marriage is one thing that I always thought on social media. It's like all you see about marriage was anniversary pictures and you're my best friend. You're my favorite thing. Life with you is the best. And I literally wanted to like throw my phone and throw up every time I saw it. I was like, that is not freaking marriage. Like that is the freaking highlight reel. And I'm sick of it. Like that is making people look at their own marriage and be like, this must not be right. This isn't working. So I should go and dodge and find the next thing. Like honestly, it's driving people to divorce and feeling like, oh, they're great. They're best friend. I'm not best friends with him. So clearly something's wrong and I should get a divorce. Like this is clearly something I'm very passionate about. And so I consistently share like it comes back to not feeling a victim and being like, what can I own here? And what can I work on? And how can we make this better? And it's again, our programs and our coaching and everything that build applies to that too. And by sharing, I'm making people feel like, no, like our marriage isn't perfect. And I just posted about last night, like one little tip, like find a night, protect it, spend time together, even if you don't want to. It's like your fitness journey. Sometimes you don't want to. You'll still feel so much closer and better. And again, like this kind of mindset applies to everything and it will help you in so many areas of your life and it'll bless people too. I just have seen so much good stuff come from it that it's hard for me to see so many capable people like standing by not sharing because I'm like so many people who need to hear it. I know sometimes you think like oh this it's saturated. There's so many people out there. Well, there's a lot of people probably in
Not
your
that many
own
people
circle.
do it that way. So
Yeah,
many
true.
people are just caught up in like the reels going viral and getting the
Sweaty
sales and making
selfies.
it look really pretty, and like people are very focused in not building the deep way, because maybe they need like an instant solution. But I always am skeptical when I see those like, oh, in 3 weeks you lost 35 pounds, and I'm always, it's the same thing with the business. So, oh, you've only been doing that business for 2 months and you already made your first million. It's that's not what it is. That's not that's not what multi-level marketing is. It is hard. Like it is, if you want to build a sustainable business, like we put in the time early to lay the foundation, to kind of like build our brand and build our reputation, and to decide what our own goals were going to be for our business, to decide if focusing on rank advancement is the most important thing, or decide if like helping people and being authentic and letting things like unfold more authentically would be the way that we wanted to go. So I think when people say the market's saturated, it's because of that. And then so many people have a bad experience because the coaches aren't really connecting or really actually trying to help people. And I
And
can
they
say
don't
like
stick
as a coach,
around. They don't stick
and
around.
they
Like
don't
someone who
stick
sticks
around.
around.
It's totally, it's totally true. Oh, how many clients I've had because they're like, well, I used to do that, but then my coach quit. So do you want to be my coach now? Yeah. And I will say, like, I offer very little support to my clients right now as far as like the groups that I run or the promotions that I do or the prizes that I send out and things like that. Cause I'm not in a season where I can do that, but where I still show up as social media and like, my people can still connect with me there and in my stories and in my posts and like in the posts I make in my group, like, it doesn't always have to be the same just because you can't invest 20 hours a week every single week. As long as you just do the bare minimum of what you can do. I think the most important thing is still being on your journey.
Yeah.
Like you can always pick the business back up if you still keep on your journey. You cannot have a business if you are not on the journey. So sometimes the business activities have to fall by the wayside for me because I'm not going to be able to help anybody if I don't help myself. And the same thing is true in my house. Like guys, I'm your MVP. Like no one is getting anything until I get sleep and I get some food and I go for a walk. Like, you do develop that sort of mentality. And it's so important because you cannot burn out. You can't burn out and then just quit everything. So prioritizing your journey, so important. So important.
Yes.
Because people
Okay.
can tell.
Yes.
Tell if you're lying. Like, don't share the program if you're not actually doing the program, guys. Come on.
So true. Okay, as you can tell, we are like covering the same cloud. We could talk forever.
I know. Sorry, Jess. Sorry, Andrea. We get excited when we coaches get together. We love personal growth. Yay.
And it's killing me not to interject.
I
I know.
know.
I'm impressed. You've just
Girls
been
weekend
nodding
really bad.
your head and praising, and that's good too.
I'm gonna try so hard to make it to Summit in July. I'm gonna try so hard, you guys.
I need to see you. It's been so many years. Like, how many years has it been? I was trying to remember.
It's going to be 3 years in January since we went on that retreat because I was just pregnant with Josephine. And so, yeah, I haven't been on anything since then. Pregnant.
Naples, wasn't it, when we all went to Naples?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Bachelor Mansion.
Yeah. It's been too long.
It's
so
be a Summit.
Hard for me. Yeah.
Love to see you.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me on this call. Thanks for having
thank
on,
you
ladies.
everyone who's been listening and all the things. Hopefully you took away what you needed to from it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good weekend.